Good evening everyone, it is Bridget here from Bridget's Healthy Kitchen, hoping you are having a wonderful day wherever you are in the world, whatever it is you may be doing. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Quarantine Cooking, where we will be doing, especially for those cheese lovers out there, a little cheesy gluten-free muffin. So if you like cheese and you like muffins and you like things that are really easy to cook, you're going to love this recipe. It is simple to do. You just mix everything in a bowl and the results are phenomenal. So let me know where you're coming from tonight. Let me know where you're joining us from. I'm in Sydney, back in my kitchen, which is always very exciting. In fact, I've had a whole day of testing wonderful recipes for us. Lots of delicious food that I've been cooking up today that you'll be seeing coming online on Bridget's Healthy Kitchen on Facebook really soon. So it's been a very exciting couple of days in my test kitchen. We did curries, I've done different types of flatbreads, I've done certain things that look like a scroll. I would say like a cinnamon bun or maybe a Chelsea bun. I've been doing those things as well. Just lots of really cool stuff. So lots of cool things that I've been cooking, but I want to cook this with you, which I've only tested the last couple of days. And what I discovered from this recipe is that it is super satisfying. And when it's so simple to make and it's so super satisfying, and yes, it is gluten-free, not dairy-free though, because it's a cheesy muffin, but I will be giving you a dairy-free option as we're going throughout the recipe for those who don't want to eat any dairy in their diet. I'll give you the dairy one, and I'll also give you the dairy-free option as well. So real simple, and Heidi Nicole joining us all the way from South Australia. Hope you're well. Thank you, Nicole, for joining us. And to Cheryl, hello Cheryl, joining us all the way from my home, South Auckland. Good to have you joining us today. So I'm going to bring you guys down to my bench. We'll get right into the recipe. Like I said, it's super simple to do, and it is so wonderfully satisfying. And Leslie from Tari, hi Leslie. So this is one of those recipes that does kind of just hit all the buttons, you know, in terms of tastes good, looks good, easy to make, and you know, whether you're having it for afternoon tea or whether you're having it for breakfast, it's pretty fabulous. So come on down to my bench, let me show you. Oh, we've got Helen joining us all the way from South Africa. Thank you for joining us tonight, today. You said it's sunny, it must be daytime in South Africa where you are. Thank you for joining us, my darling. I hope you enjoy my cheesy muffins. All right, coming down this way. Oh, Georgina, I know where you're coming from, my love. All the way from the capital of Australia, and to the beautiful Jan joining us from Forster as well. Thank you, Jan. Good to see you, and good to see you back within the family as well. I've missed you. I have definitely missed you. So come on down to my bench. Let's see what's going on down here. As I was saying, like I always like to say when it comes to these recipes, nothing's too difficult. And this one definitely is not hard at all. We're going to start with putting the dry ingredients into our bowl. So I am measuring out, because you know, I've got my bowl set on my scales here, and I'm going to measure out the dry ingredients first. Like I said, super easy. So in here I've got 180 grams of my gluten-free flour. Just goes into the bowl. I'm just looking at it to make sure it is 180 grams. It is 180 grams. And now I just want to show you, before I actually do anything more, what I've got in here. So I've got 180 grams of my my gluten-free flour in here. I'm going to put in half a teaspoon of salt, is going to go in there as well. But what I'm sort of doing at the same time as I'm doing my dry ingredients is I have just in my pot here some very gently, very lightly melted butter. And when I say gentle and light, it means that I've just melted it. I haven't allowed it to come to the boil. I've had it on a really low heat. So in my bowl, my pot here, I have 60 grams, which is about 3.5 ounces of just cooled melted butter. If you're going for the dairy-free option, this would then be coconut oil. So you put 60 grams of coconut oil in there. So I've just had that on the heat. And the reason why I've had it on the heat is because I'm actually going to put in the other liquid ingredients into there, which is just going to heat through just gently. So I'm going to turn my pot back on. But like I said, I'm doing everything on a really gentle heat. So on the lowest possible temperature. Oh, I better measure it first. I forgot about that. A bit back to front tonight, a little bit back to front. So I'm going to put in my liquid ingredients here before I do my dry. Forgot about this. Turn off the dishwasher. It's making lots of noise. And what the liquid ingredients that I'm going to be putting in here is I'm going to be putting in 120 mils. Now you could put cow's milk. You could put a non-dairy milk in here if you want to go dairy-free, completely up to you. Those are your two options. If you're going for a dairy-free option, you might put soy, you could put hemp, you could put almond milk in there as well. You could also do macadamia nut milk. It really is up to you. You could even do coconut milk in here. So 120 mils of the milk of your choosing goes in. And the next liquid that I'm going to be putting in is our sparkling water, our fizzy water. And it's the same amount, 120 mils of soda water goes in there. And we're going to put that onto the cooktop, and we're just going to remember doing that really gentle. So as I'm doing the dry ingredients, this is just going to heat through just very gently. I kind of want it to come to blood temperature or room temperature, so I'm not going to allow this to boil. I'm just going to allow it to tick over there while I go back to this job. And this job is our dried. So in here I've got my gluten-free flour. Remember, 180 grams of gluten-free flour goes in here. I also have my ½ teaspoon of salt. I'm going to put in just a little bit of baking soda, which I don't have. I have baking powder. Sorry guys. Baking soda is what we need, not baking powder. And for the baking soda, I'm just going to add in ½ teaspoon of baking soda. Goes into our dry ingredients as well. And because right now this mixture is, you know, it's kind of one-dimensional. I like to think of it. You know, it's just a bit of gluten-free flour, which is normally rice and tapioca. There's a bit of salt. There's a bit of baking soda. You know, it's quite one-dimensional. And I always like to increase the amount of fiber that we have in our food, because right now there's not a lot of fiber in here. So the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to be adding in a tablespoon of inulin powder, and that is going to boost our dietary fiber content of this, so it's going to make it really gut healthy, because it's a prebiotic, so it's really good for feeding the healthy bacteria in your gut, but it's also going to boost that dietary fiber content, which means that our cheesy muffins have just gone up in the health stakes, because not only are they gluten-free, but they also become a prebiotic, and I've increased the dietary fiber in there, even though we're only really dealing with the rice flour and a tapioca. So that's what inulin is for. It is for increasing the dietary fiber. It's for feeding the good bacteria in your gut that already exists in your gut, which are your probiotics. Our inulin is a prebiotic. It feeds the good bacteria in your gut, which helps to create that wonderful, happy microbiome in your gut that's going to see you through. Especially right now, we want to be boosting our immune system. So for those of you who've been following me for a long time, you know that this inulin here is Bridget's Healthy Kitchen inulin. This is the inulin that Mahe and I now stock and sell, and it is the purest inulin on the market in the world. It's the best one you can get. If you want to get your hands on some of our prebiotic inulin, it is still being delivered because it is an essential service. Delivering your inulin is an essential service. You just need to go to pureasinulin.com and you can order your own bag of inulin to be delivered to you, which is still wonderful. So we've got that inulin in there, which means we've got that prebiotic going on there. We have that wonderful dietary fiber that we've added to it as well. We're next going to add a little bit of a binder just to hold everything together. And our binder is our xanthan gum. Now I had a question a couple of days ago. Someone said, I don't have any xanthan gum. Can I still make the bread? It is difficult to answer that question easily because the xanthan gum is used as a binder, and I'm adding ½ teaspoon, by the way, into this. It is used to bind the flour together so it's not crumbly. But some gluten-free flour blends that you can buy in the supermarket already have xanthan gum in them. So I suggest you check your gluten-free flour blend. You might find there's already xanthan gum in there. So that binder or that thickener is already in there, so you may not need to add it. If you don't have any xanthan gum, you're going to put in ½ teaspoon in there. But let me also tell you this, if your gluten-free flour does have xanthan gum, there's nothing wrong with adding another ½ teaspoon. It will definitely hold together really, really well. And if you can't find xanthan gum, the other one you can use is a gum called gur gum, G-U-A-R, gur gum, that acts almost identically to xanthan gum, and it will act as a binder and a thickener with your flour. So up to you, but just check your packet if you're using a pre-bought flour mix. So that's our dry ingredients kind of done and dusted. Our liquid ingredients here has just been warming through with our just melted butter, and now we also have you know, that milk that's just kind of, and the way to test it is, you know, you can just take your little spoon, and just, if anyone's ever had a baby with a baby's bottle, you would have done that, right, on your wrist. Seriously, it's the best way to test it, because you're looking for room temperature, not too warm. You could also test it with a thermometer if you really wanted to, but on my wrist, that is telling me that that is at room temperature. You could feed that to a baby. It's that good. Hi to Sarah, joining us from Tauranga. What's the butter measure? The butter measure was 60 grams, my darling, or 2 ounces of butter, or coconut oil if you're going dairy free. Remember, there's also that dairy free option. So that's our liquid there. I'm bringing back to the dry. This is no longer on, by the way. I've turned everything off. In fact, I don't want to confuse anyone. Put that there. That's perfect. So I'm not even going to put that anywhere near the heat now. So the next thing you need to think about is your cheese option. And to be completely blunt with you guys, the only reason I'm making these muffins is because I love cheese. It is like, it's my favorite food in the whole world at the moment, until something else comes along that I love even more. It hasn't yet, but I love cheese. Like, seriously, if I could live on a diet of just cheese, I would. I know I can't, so I don't. So when I make food, I make sure to create things that are really good for my body, and they may have a little bit of cheese inside of them. And that's why these muffins are awesome, because there's a little bit of cheese. Now, if you're dairy free, this becomes vegan cheese, yeah? Same quantities, but you're just doing the vegan cheese. So what I have in here is a collection of cheeses I have, and I grated them myself. I have a little bit of a really nice vintage aged cheddar. I have 60 grams of vintage aged cheddar in there, and I also have 20 grams of grated Parmesan cheese. So those two, because you know that Parmesan's kind of nutty and it's deep, and it's sort of, you know, it's got that umami savoriness that we all love. And then we have our cheddar, which is, once again, it's sharp, you know, and it kind of hits you right at the back of your throat, which is just wonderful. So I've got those two types of cheeses. You can use any two types of cheeses you want, as long as you use like something that's a little bit sharper and something that might have a little bit more savoriness to it. Like, I would always say go with the Parmesan and then change out the cheddar for something that you enjoy, but make sure it's a hard cheese. And what we're going to do with our cheese here, go back to our dry ingredients, and I'm going to add, not quite all, probably 3/4 of that cheese that I grated is now, I'm going to save this for later, is going to go in here. And then just using my spoon, told you it's not hard to make this, we give it a little bit of a stir, make sure that the cheese is completely coated in the flour. And what we're going to do now, I know I did this last night, if you watched our video last night, when I was cooking last night, we made wells as well. So this is our second night of making a well, because this is a bit of a baking series we've got going on. Because over on Bridget's Healthy Kitchen Family, we have got our quarantine bake-off competition happening. So that's why I'm doing a bit of a baking series for you guys this week. So I've got my well, can you see? Oh, I collapsed the well. I've got my well in the middle of the flour. Once again, make it just like that. Best way to incorporate liquid, that's why we do a well. So now that I've got my well going on there, I'm going to take my lukewarm milk and butter is going to go in. And as well as that, I'm going to add in the last ingredient that creates the liquid portion of it, or second to last ingredient, and that is my egg. This is why your milk can't be too hot. Because if you're breaking your egg into your milk now, and your milk's hot, you're making scrambled eggs. Not ideal at all. So just with a little fork, I'm gonna whisk the egg up. Just like that. Get it all mixed in. Fantastic. And now for the last ingredient. The last one. A little bit of apple cider vinegar. The apple cider vinegar is going to react with the baking soda that we put in earlier. It's going to help to give the rise in our muffin. So this, even though I'm only putting in such a small amount, like literally half a teaspoon, you'd be like, well, what's the point in that? The point is that small amount of vinegar is going to react with the baking soda that's already in there, and we're going to get a puff out of our muffin. So really, really important. And without that little bit of vinegar, we may not get such a good rise. So that is all we need to do. That's all the ingredients in there. We're just going to grab myself up my spoon again and give it a bit of a stir. You don't even need a wooden spoon for this. I've got a wooden spoon sitting over there. I probably won't even use it today because I'm pretty happy with what we've got here. So the type of texture that you're looking for is it to be quite wet but still thick, if that makes sense. So you can see, is it going to fall off? Yeah, if it does that off your spoon, you know that you've got the perfect texture. Now you might find that different gluten-free flour blends, they may react a little bit differently to my one, but what you're after is that sort of drop. So it's thick, but it's definitely damp as well. And if you're looking at yours and you're going, oh, mine doesn't look quite the same as Bridget's does, and it might be a little bit drier than this, just add a little bit more milk, just a little bit, not too much, just until you get that type of consistency. If you're looking at yours right now and you're going, oh, my one looks rather soupy as opposed to clumpy, then you just want to add a little bit more flour. But always do this in small increments, like do it in a tablespoon at a time until you come to this texture. That's what you're after. That is perfect. Now, as this is a cheesy muffin recipe, I'm just adding cheese. At this point, you might add fresh herbs, you could add some ham, you could add some chili, you could add pretty much anything you want. I'm doing the basic. You guys can then create it to make it your own special cheesy muffin recipe. But this is the base for you. You go crazy now from this point and add other little bits and flavors that might excite you as well. So that's easy, that's done. This will make about 9 little muffins. I know I've only got 6, but it was just so cute. I just had to just show you how cute this was. I do have a larger one than this, but I was like, no, that's super cute. I'm totally doing it in that today. So this will make 9 little muffins. So making sure your fingers are clean. Always got clean fingers. We're going to go with a heaped tablespoon. A heaped tablespoon is going to give you the perfect amount in your muffin. The perfect amount is all you need. 1 heaped tablespoon. Just like that. So you're not having to go back to it many, many, many times. Heaped tablespoon goes in just like that. And then we might as well do all 6, and then I'll have a little bit more mixture left over to do 3 more. Because yeah, this will make, depending on the size of your muffin cases. Oh, and yes, by the way, I did use muffin cases only because then I don't have to grease this. Which I just think, if we don't have to grease something, why bother greasing it? So it is that heaped tablespoon goes in, and like I said, you'll get between 8 to 9 muffins depending on how big your heap is. My heap gives me 9. So imagine that this is 9. I've still got some more left over. Now I'm going to take this over to the... Oh, before I do that, I nearly forgot the best part. Oh my gosh. Before you do that, that's why you save the best for last. You can't have cheesy muffins without cheese on top. Is that not correct? You have to have cheese on top. So, let's go. A little bit of cheese. Make sure that you don't go too cheese hard on the first muffin, then you don't have any cheese left for the rest of it. So you've got to kind of, you know, you've got to judge, like that should be enough for the rest of the last 3. So just like this is now going to go into the oven. I have my oven set on 190 degrees Celsius, and that is going to go in the oven for about 20 to 25 minutes. Keep an eye on it. One of the secrets about this going into the oven is just make sure that these go into the middle of the oven. So put your oven rack in the middle. It's really important where you put your oven rack in the oven. This goes into the middle, so you've got the same amount of height at the top, you've got the same amount of height at the bottom. What then happens is that this cooks nice and evenly. I've got it on fan bake, which means that the fan is circulating the air in my oven, and it's going to cook really, really evenly. If you put it too close to the bottom of your oven, this is going to burn, and this is not going to get as crispy. If you put it too close to the top, because remember, hot air rises, this is going to burn, and this is not going to cook through. So we're going to go right into the middle. It's the same with cakes. Always put it into the closest to the middle part of your oven as possible, because then you're going to get a really, really even bake. Whether you're using fan bake or you're using bake without a fan, I always suggest things go into the middle of the oven. I'll tell you if you need to put something in a rack higher or lower. Cakes and baking, really good secret for you guys, into the middle. All right, if you're wondering if this recipe is in any books, I see Jan just answering for me. This is brand new. I've never shared this recipe with anyone before. It's not available written. The only way you can make this recipe is if you write it down. I will share it in the next couple of days, but currently you are the first to see it right here, right now, live on this video. It's never been done before. Well, I've never done it before. So this is now going over to the oven. Remember, 20 to 25 minutes. In the middle of the oven. So good, right? In the middle of the oven, 20 to 25 minutes. And what you will get after this, not so much effort, which I do love when it's not so much effort, after not a lot of effort, you will get these fabulous cheese muffins that I'm going to be honest with you. I made these yesterday. I ate one about an hour ago and it still tasted amazing. It is phenomenal. They are so good. So what do they look like when you take off the muffin case? I just think this is such a cool recipe. Check it out. Check out, oh look. Can you see how good it looks? This is wonderful. You don't need anything with it. You can just heat that up, you know, because I made this yesterday, or eat them straight out of the oven, which is even better. Just eat them hot out of the oven. But if you save them for the next day, look at that cheesy bit down there. And I just love how golden it is around as well. If you save it for the next day, I'll show you the texture inside. They taste wonderful. They don't need butter. Honestly, they don't. Look how good that looks. It is so soft and tender. These muffins are a revelation. So if you would like to make these muffins, please do. Please do. Like I said, I will share the recipe with you guys. If you ask nicely, I'll even share it tomorrow. I'll work after this and write the recipe up. At the moment, it's only written in hand. I'll write it up and share it with you guys tomorrow. Is that all right, Mahi? Shall we do a recipe for tomorrow? Yeah. Mahi said yes. I'm going to write this up for you guys so you can print off your own PDF copy. Make this. Share it in our private page, Bridget's Healthy Kitchen Family, #QuarantineBakeOff, and then you go into the competition to win your own personally signed copy of either Bridget's Healthy Kitchen, which is the yellow book, or more from Bridget's Healthy Kitchen, which is the green book, and I will personally sign it for you, dedicate it, and then send it out to either you or anyone in the world who you'd like to send that amazing cookbook to, or whichever one you want. So the competition ends on Thursday night, well, Friday morning it ends. We're drawing the winner at our Q&A session on Friday live. We're going to be drawing the winner. All you do is bake something amazing, #QuarantineBakeOff, maybe it's the muffins, I don't know, you decide, and then share it with the rest of our world, and you go in the draw to win that competition, which we're going to be drawing on Friday, which is really exciting. To everyone who's already entered, your entries have been amazing, and I'm being so inspired because I'll be like, oh, I haven't baked that for a while, I should really get into the kitchen and bake that. They have been gorgeous. So thank you for sharing and inspiring all of us to stay healthy during these unusual times that we're all going through. So thank you guys for joining me today. I may not be able to do a class tomorrow because apparently we're having a power cut tomorrow. We've been told our power's being cut, so I don't know if I'll be able to get a class to you guys tomorrow, but I will, straight after this, go and write up the recipe for our cheesy muffins so you guys have the PDF ready to download tomorrow, and then you can get baking. All right, guys, love to see you all. Please be safe, please be well, and do not forget, keep calm and keep cooking. All right, guys, take care.